welcome to Before the Bounce. We've got the SANFL and AFL Pub Talk, Ando, brought to you by the Exchange Hotel.
Plenty to chat about, mate. Plenty to chat about.
Mate, it's been another big week in AFL SANFL footy, and let's get straight into it, mate. The SANFL Grand Final.
Yeah.
How's it going to go down if the Port or the Crows make it? Is it going to be good for the game of SANFL footy, or is it going to be bad?
I think it's going to be fantastic for the game because it's probably if you ask the supporters out there about the Crows' commitment to the SANFL, and I would say that the 80% of the players know that their career's on the line. They've got to perform. They've got to play well. Probably 20% are sort of saying, "Oh, where might I be going next year?" Now, when they actually feel that trophy in their hand one day, and what it really represents, I think then the Crows will really embrace that there's a golden egg at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Like it is, you might not have had as much AFL games as you'd like, which is not a bad consolation prize, is it? Running around the Adelaide Oval holding up the trophy, and a very famous trophy that as well. So, and obviously, Port have already got that feeling down there. Obviously, the history of the club, 1870, that I think everyone that represents Port Power know that there's this second team called the Magpies that is very, very important there, and they get told it all the time by supporters. So I think they've already got that, whereas the Crows probably haven't embraced that as yet. And I think when it does happen, I think we'll have a really strong approach to the Crows in the SANFL. Yeah,
it's an interesting one. As from an outsider, I mean, you listen to a lot of the supporters of other clubs, but I watched both clubs play in Port Pirie in the country champs when they did the showdown up there, and from the country footy to the SANFL, there was quite an eerie feel. There wasn't. Although there was lots of people around, there wasn't much of an atmosphere. So
bizarre. But it's probably the game as well nowadays. I mean, the games, at the SANFL, especially with the Magpies and the Crows seconds, that they're still playing that AFL structured game, which isn't really that exciting in the way of when you're flooding and not a lot of big spectacular marks, the melees, things like that. That is still part of country footy. I go and watch country footy, and she's a ding-dong affair. Yeah. There's big marks, there's still structure. So I still think perhaps the crowd that is used to country footy, watching a very structured, probably at times not exciting game, I can tend to agree with what perhaps the crowd were thinking, that this is a little bit boring.
Yeah.
But in the world of SANFL and the back on the base, and people accept that style of game and embrace it. I think that the more that the Crows reserves realise that it's a fantastic competition. There's 8 other sides that their club history is decades and generations and generations. That's when it's going to mean something to them. Yeah. At the moment, you're probably right. Doesn't mean a lot to the Crows. But I think they thought I think they probably got a bit of a shock last week that they could be out in 2. Yeah. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, you don't ever want to do that.
Out in 2, and Norwood are doing beautifully. Yeah. Norwood played great footy. Sturt were kept chipping at their heels, but they always seemed to have another gear to pick the pace up a bit. So yeah, I think actually the Crows Norwood game could be a cracker like Port Glenelg.
Yeah, no.
Now we're going back to the 80s and 70s. This is fantastic.
No, it's going to be another fantastic week in the SANFL, that's for sure, mate. And through the week, obviously, Joe Roughead, the news that he's going to be going to St Kilda in a coaching capacity as an assistant coach. Do you think there's a potential that they might just swindle him to put the boots on again, do you reckon?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, look, he got dropped a couple of times last year because of form. What a tremendous human being he is. I mean, like what he has done for this game and done in the community is outstanding. And for him to just really now focus on coaching and development, that's his next life. And he's just going to do wonderfully well. And I really do wish him all the best. But I reckon leave the boots in the wardrobe.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. Just move on to the next chapter. And mate, massive news here in South Australia lately. The Crows having to put the hand up and say that they need an external review. Fair to say, you wouldn't think that things are going to come out looking pretty.
No, I wouldn't think so. But look, I think it seems like the public want it, and they're saying it's a bit of a boys' club at the top end. Whether it is or not, we'll soon find out. Yeah. But they haven't had a couple of good starts to the last 2 seasons. There's always been issues, whether it's a dual captaincy issue, whether it's recruiting issues, whether it's a training camp that sort of went all haywire, and whatever the case may be. But there's certainly seems to be a lot that infiltrates the playing group, which shouldn't, and that's from outside that playing circle. That needs to be sorted out. Yeah, there's no question.
No, 100%. And I think the big thing is Crows have been pretty good at probably masking some stories and that have come out in the media over the last few years.
They're a very powerful club.
I don't think they're going to be able to do
very, very powerful club. I think it's what supporters want. I think the supporters want from the top right to the bottom. They need to clean out. Or they don't, but put it on the table and say, this is where we're at as a full club. Supporters, administrators, staff, coaches and players get on the same page. And I think that's where there seems to be a bit of a ripple.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how what
it's
comes out of that.
Interesting to see.
It'd be
very nice. You said, but I mean, we could have CEOs getting slapped across the face. We could have players getting the kick out the backside. We could have trainers doing more laps. I mean, it's everyone's going to be the stone's going to be unturned. So it's going to be very interesting.
It's going to be interesting to see with that as well. Tex Walker, probably all the outside noise might have now come a time where he's put the captaincy down and moved on to the next person.
I think there was so much talk about it last year, whether they should have a duel, whether they shouldn't. Port the same, by the way, and I don't think. I don't really think it worked for either club. I was actually really positive to it.
Yeah.
But
I think it's
both clubs didn't seem to embrace it and didn't get results with it, and that's where it's. Yeah. It's only successful if you get results. They didn't get results, so I think Tex getting that monkey off his back, and he sort of brought it up hoping that it was going to be successful, and et cetera, et cetera. Just let him play some footy. Yeah. Great player. Let him play some footy. Yeah.
And to be fair,
and he's been, by the way, an unbelievable captain.
Oh, he's been fantastic.
But if there's a question mark, eliminate it. Let him play footy.
Yeah, agree. And to be fair, the Crows have been pretty harsh on, or the supporters have been pretty harsh on Tex this year. He's probably been one of their shining lights, to be honest. So he finished 6th in the Coleman and kicked over 43 goals. So out of all the forwards, he's probably done his best. He's probably done the best out of all of them.
He's had a good year, and we expect so much from him.
Yeah,
and then when you actually do get those statistics, you go, wow, he's actually played well. Yeah, but I think the biggest pressure has been as the aspect of captain of the club.
Yeah,
I don't think that's worked.
Yeah,
and that's put added pressure on him. But no, a great player, and it's great to just see to just get him out there, play some footy, and
take
play
the pressure
well.
off.
Take the pressure off.
Good to see it happen with Boak last year. So hopefully next year we can see Tex go.
He had a great year, Boakey, and especially that first half of the year, he was just absolutely outstanding. So. It'd be nice to, the big fella just to have a wonderful year without the shackles of should he be captain, should he be, a part of a dual one. Get rid of it, let him play some footy.
Yep, agree, Ando. Mate, we got plenty more before
the bounce.
We
made sense, mate, then, by the way.
Mate, we sound like we could really dissect this all day long. But, mate, we got plenty more to come up before the bounce. Thank you to the Exchange Hotel in Gawler for sponsoring us. That was AFL SANFL Pub Talk. Don't forget, find us on Facebook at the South Australian Footballer, Piranha Media. You can find us at our YouTube channel as well, the SA Footballer TV, for all content around South Australian football, all our magazines, and especially before the bounce each week. With over 155,000 subscribers, you can't go wrong with the South Australian Football and Piranha Media.